So what's good, my monks and disciples? It is your master ShaolinPretzels, and today I want to do a couple of different things. If any of you have seen some of the stuff that I've done on stream and whatnot, specifically for whenever I open up with Dragon Punch, I usually open up with a special image that I make you guys like all stare at for like a good while before we actually get things started. And that graphic is this. It's my general stream is starting soon screen. You've seen this graphic before. You've seen it plenty of times, and you've also seen it with a countdown timer. So I feel weird about having this graphic be up all the time, specifically for Dragon Punch. So I have another idea in mind. I want to create a specific stream is starting screen for Dragon Punch. Now here's the catch. Dragon Punch doesn't have its own like official logo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this graphic right here, and I'm going to try and turn this into our new starting soon screen. All right, so here's how we're going to start. Cordam gave me the graphic design files for this in GIMP. So we're going to try and preserve that, which is why I have this. I just made like a bunch of layers invisible. So all the text is still there, the logo's still there technically, but it's just invisible and just marked down so that way you just can't see it. So essentially what I'm gonna do from here is that I'm going to take this and I'm gonna throw it into my regular graphic design software, which you will see right here. So this is Affinity Photo. I tend to work with this alongside Affinity Designer. All right, so typically for banner dimensions for a Twitch or OBS banner, I like to make it 1920 by 1080, which fills it up to the full screen resolution that I'm like sending like visual data to OBS. So now from here, now that we have our general canvas, I go into File, go to Place, and from Place, I go in and I grab the file that we need, which is that banner file is somewhere. Hold on a sec. Go into Place, and now we have this here, and now we can place it. So now that I have this background already, and it's already at the base image dimensions that I need, in the bottom right, you can actually set the specific coordinates and dimensions for where you want to place certain objects on the layer. So because this is a perfect 1920 by 1080 image, I want to set the X and Y coordinates to 0. And these coordinates are relative to the top left corner of the screen. So I do all that, and then everything is perfectly lined up with the screen. All right, so now that we have this in place, now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna pull up the Ohio FGC logo. Again, we're gonna go down to Place, navigate my way to where I actually need the logos at, and then we can place the logo here. Now, Corey gives us the Ohio FGC logo like an incredibly obscene dimension, so we're gonna scale this down for a little bit. I'm gonna make this a fifth of the size that it usually is, so 500 by 500. And now we're like, oh no, we don't know where it is. Coordinates. Move this to 0, 0. Seems a little bit small as it is. I can obviously change this as I see fit later, but I'm just gonna make it like 1,000 is too big. Let's scale it up to that. And from here, I'm just going to right click on this image on this layer and go to alignment. So I want to make this like perfectly centered on the screen to start with. So I'm going to go to align center to align it horizontally, and then align middle to align it vertically. So next thing we want to do is that we want to add the stream is starting text. So I'm going to create a text object here. I'm just going to make it like basic placeholder thing. We're going to make it white text to contrast with the background a little bit. And the name of the font that we use for DPO is similar to this TT Lakes. So I'm gonna do a couple of different text line options for this. So we could do stream is starting. Another thing that I'm also really happy you can do in Affinity Designer is you can just like, you can move things up and down in the layer just by using like the arrow keys. I'm gonna move the logo up just a little bit. So right now this graphic looks pretty solid. It looks pretty good. So one thing I always like to do is I always like to have variants for this. One of the ways I like to do these variants is by changing the text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a couple duplicates of the text layer. So I am going to make the bottommost ones invisible and then change each one from like top to bottom. So let's just experiment with like different like text possibilities. So we obviously have stream is starting, but we could also do tournament is starting. Another potential option could be, since we run this as like a series in tandem with like other fighting games, we could say like up next Streets Fighter 5, as it takes me all the way off the screen. One thing I could also do, what my usual standard notification line for DPO is get ready to meet some of Ohio's best. Going along with that general theme, you can do like get ready for, and then I can do like another space down here, Streets Fighter 5. A lot of graphic design is just gonna be like experimenting with like different options and variations, and just like having multiple different options and stuff saved so that we can easily like revert back to old design motifs whenever you feel like it. That's part of the reason why I duplicated all the text and made like individual layers for each of them, as opposed to just like having one text layer and then just like typing and changing all the stuff for everything. Now that we have something ready, the question is, how will this look in OBS? And that's what we're about to figure out right now. Now we're in OBS. So what you're gonna wanna do here is that we're gonna wanna replicate what I do for my stream is starting screen. You'll see from over here on my stream is starting screen, there are only 3 sources here. There's an alert source. If anyone like follows, subs, sends bits, whatever, I still get those notifications during the stream starting screen, and it like helps to build up hype because people are like engaging, they're supporting the stream, they're like really waiting at the bit to like get more stuff. So I always like to keep the alerts up there. I don't have my mic up there because I don't want people to usually hear me whenever I'm like in the middle of the stream starting phase. There's no mic source at all. It's only pulling from like my desktop audio and whatever music's playing and whatever. There's a text media option, which we'll get into in a moment, and then there's the actual physical banner itself. So other than that, this section is pretty much just blank. Okay, so we're gonna create a new scene here. I'm gonna call it, for the sake of consistency, we're gonna call it stream is starting OH. Stream is starting OH. It does make sense. So now you'll see here we have like a blank screen. So here's what we're gonna do. Image. New image. Stream start OH. I'm just gonna call the image source that. Then we go into browse and go into our images. And as you can already see, it's perfectly fit to the dimensions of OBS. So I'm gonna add my alerts back in and transform and center it horizontally to put it back to where I would usually put it. So any alerts or anything that I would usually like see would just show up like right here. And then lastly, we add the text, and this is where things get interesting. We have an existing text source here called countdown. I'm going to show you what I do with this to make it a little bit more interesting. So if we right click on the countdown source, you can do a lot of things with this to like mess with how your text is presented. Whenever I go into our program for the countdown, SNAS, all I have to do is just go to the little countdown to the specific time section, and then click on this thing to set it to the present time, and then just set whatever time I need it to count down to. I'll just add like, I'll make this like countdown to like 8:30 and like 19 seconds. So then once I have that all set and click on start, then what SNAS starts to do is it sends the countdown timer to this text source in OBS, and then it counts down from there. That's how my regular countdown source works. So we're gonna have to create an original one for the DPO banner, because stylistically this is just the one for my regular streams, and we don't want that. We want a distinct one for DPO, or in general this could really just go for like any Ohio FGC tournament, to be perfectly honest. So I am going to remove this source and create a new text source. I'm going to call it countdown OH. So here we are in the new section here. What we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to select the same font that we used before for this. So we are looking for TT Lakes. I'm gonna try I'm gonna try compressed black for this. We use condensed bold, I think, for this, but I just want to try condensed black for a bit and see how that goes. For placeholder text, I'm just gonna put in 0.00. This is like last minute, like timestamp. And then I'm going to transform this by centering it horizontally. And now we have in essence, we have the base structure for how this is going to look. So this is already good. This is already a really good starting place to be at. Now, the next thing, we want to get the file that Snaz will be sending to OBS. In order to do that, you go and click on this little box here that says read from file. So we click on that, and then suddenly everything changes. So from here, we want to go to browse. And then you have to, oh dear Lord, I have to figure out where this file is. Oh no.
A few moments later.
So in essence, what you're gonna want to do whenever you install Snaz will make its like own folder in your C drive. So then you just want to go to that drive and then go into the text files folder and then pull out the countdown.txt file. And that's the file that you're gonna want to use for your countdowns. So go to local disk, Snaz. Local disk, and then from local disk you just go into the Snaz folder, and then as I said, text files, countdown, and that's the file that you're going to want to use. And then this thing will appear with like a very active countdown. So I'm going to go to transform, centered horizontally, and now we have numbers counting down for our little stream starting soon banner. Whenever Snaz's countdown finishes, it gives you an option to like type in text for whenever the countdown like actually finishes. So now this is what the new countdown will look like. So in essence, that's how this works. That's how this works for the starting student screens that I use for my personal streams. And now with this, what I will be using for Dragon Punch. Because it's like, I like the live output text, but I don't like that it's off center. That's the only thing that bugs me. So if we just make the message when it's done, just the timer whenever it's at 0, I think that's a comfortable place to put it. And then maybe I can do like something else production wise to like jazz this up a little bit. You see, it moves into that 0, and then that's just natural. It's just so natural. But yeah, for the time being, it's basically what the graphic design process for me creating new stream graphics looks like. Thank you guys so very much for tuning into today's video. If you like what you saw today, be sure to click on the subscribe and like buttons to let me know that you want to see more content like this, and also make sure to turn on the notification bell to get notified at the next time that I post another video here. If you want to catch up with all my daily shenanigans in the Salt Monastery, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ShaolinPretzels, or join our Discord server, which is in the link below. I also stream on Twitch as well at twitch.tv/ShaolinPretzels, so feel free to come by and chat sometime. I have been your master, ShaolinPretzels, and as always, my monks and disciples, stay salty.